Good afternoon. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. Welcome to our Westchester Weekly Update. It is Monday, September 19th, and we're very happy to use this opportunity to give you an update on some of the key issues that are affecting Westchester County. I'll be joined, as I always am, by Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins, who will be with me for certain items on the report. We will have a report from two of our key individuals in our economic development team, Bridget Gibbons, our Director of Economic Development, and Martha Lopez, who is Director of Programs and Policy, and we'll look forward to their report on a particular issue. And we always have a municipal partner join us today. The mayor of the village of Scarsdale, Jane Verrin, is going to be with us, and we're very happy to have Mayor Verrin with us. Each week we try to have a representative of one of the towns, cities, or villages with us to tell us a little bit about their community, some of the priorities on their minds, and obviously, we all live someplace in Westchester County, but there are 45 municipalities and an infinitely larger number of hamlets. So this gives everybody a chance to get an idea of what's happening all over the county, not just a countywide scope and not just in our own singular backyard. We're going to give a brief overview of where we are with the health issues that we're tracking, and we're going to talk in the next couple of seconds about what's happening with the weather in the Caribbean. It may affect us. Then a few recreational details and some upcoming events. Let me mention that probably the immediate headline story in this hemisphere is the presence of Hurricane Fiona, who is making her progress through the Caribbean, and it's a devastating progress that she's making. We know this is hurricane season. We've actually been pretty fortunate not to have had more hurricanes by this time. They letter them alphabetically from A to Z, and right now Hurricane Fiona would be that next sequence of letters. But she has landed in Puerto Rico, dumping 37 inches of rain yesterday, I believe 11 inches today, even as she's moved on from the island of Puerto Rico and then now to the Dominican Republic, or the island of Hispaniola, Dominican Republic, and Haiti. And these countries are really unable on their own resources to handle this kind of a devastating impact. The land mass of these islands are relatively small, and of course, those of us here in the United States, buffered by the size and scope of our country, need to be able to step up and be helpful to these countries. The Hurricane Center was moving off the northern coast of the Dominican Republic as of 11 o'clock this morning and moving northwestward at about 8 miles per hour. It's a relatively slow-moving storm, and the slower the storm moves, the more of the impact it has on the ground. You may remember that we had Hurricane Ida come through our region of the country, Westchester, slightly over a year ago, and it was a slow-moving storm. And because it moved slowly, it was able to dump a lot of water, more water than our normal system could handle here in the United States with, sort of elaborate infrastructure. So how much more devastating is it to our Caribbean neighbors? It made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane with maximum sustained winds near 90 miles an hour. The Hurricane Center was inland over the eastern Dominican Republic as of 5 a.m. this morning and was moving toward the northwest, as we said, at 8 miles per hour. National Weather Service has indicated that rain bands from Hurricane Fiona are continuing to move across Puerto Rico today and bring even more rain to the island, as we've seen. Parts of the southern tip of the island could get an additional 4 to 6 inches of rainfall, and the rainfall could reach, as we said, over 30 inches of rain, which is a tremendous amount of rain. In San Juan, the effort is to move to higher ground immediately, particularly across the southern and western half of Puerto Rico. We give you this weather report. First of all, so many of our neighbors and friends have relatives are from Puerto Rico or have neighbors, friends, relatives who are there. Puerto Rico is a part of the United States, has been for over 100 years. So these are Americans that we're talking about in this location. And if there weren't Americans there, we'd also be important lives nonetheless. But we have some obligation, and some of the areas of the country are stepping up to deal with this. Our state, New York, New Jersey, and California, have agreed to send first responders, member of law enforcement, to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rican Governor Pedro Pierluisi said today that they will receive from the state of New York, Governor Hochul, 100 first responders to assist with recovery efforts, which is very essential. FEMA has over 400 officials on the island dedicated to Fiona recovery, and it's very important to determine exactly what type of help they need and to deliver that help which is appropriate. Accordingly, I reached out over the last 24 hours to Robin Bacall, who chairs our Hispanic Advisory Board for Westchester County, and I asked her if she had some individuals that she would recommend to work with the county in identifying how county government and county residents can be helpful to both residents of Puerto Rico and now the Dominican Republic and Haiti who may be suffering from this situation. 3 volunteers from the Hispanic community have stepped forward under their direction. Isabella Figueroa, Hector Lopez, and Jose Chevere have all agreed to work with us and under the direction of Catherine Chaffee, our Director of Communications, to help identify those organizations, qualified organizations, that will accept donations of either money or goods that Westchester residents can contribute. We expect that these individuals will be working on this project over the next day or two. We hope to have an announcement, quite possibly another press conference, in which we will identify where those resources can go to. So you as an individual, if you want to help, that you'll have some information on where to go. Reliable organizations that we verified will in fact get the aid to the individuals that need it in whatever fashion that is. For those who already have those contacts and want to move forward, we encourage you to act immediately. But we appreciate the leadership of Robin McCall and the Hispanic Advisory Board in stepping into it. And it's another example when we have these citizen boards, and in a second when Mayor Veron talks about Scarsdale, she'll no doubt say this, the citizen involvement in local government at the village, town, city, county level is essential. We get benefits that we could not pay for. And in this particular case, people who are committed because of their heritage and their family to helping us, whatever our ethnicity is, to be helpful to our neighbors in need. And they are our neighbors. They are our brothers and sisters on the island of Puerto Rico and Haiti and Dominican Republic and everywhere else. And the goodwill of all of us as Westchester residents will be brought to help them. So we hope to have more information. We thank again Ms. Figueroa, Mr. Lopez, and Mr. Chevere for their willingness to work with us. And we hope to have some good news perhaps a little later in the week. And we hope Hurricane Fiona is the last hurricane that will threaten the land and let them all go out to sea and, work their way across the Atlantic. In any event, we're going to switch gears from the Caribbean to Scarsdale. Scarsdale is a wonderful town village, or village town. I guess the mayor will explain which of the two they are. It's a local form of government that is replicated in a couple of other places in the county, in Harrison and Mount Kisco. You need a PhD in government to figure it out. But Scarsdale, obviously, is a beautiful community. I've had the pleasure of representing it in the county legislature before I had the chance to move on to other positions. And it's a highly organized community in that there's many philanthropic organizations that work well in the community. They work alongside a very active village government. And the people of Scarsdale are well served by their local government. They have some traditions that some communities don't have that sort of build in turnover between elected officials. So we have terrific officials. They stay for a brief period of time. They move on. Other officials come in. And in Scarsdale, it works extremely well. But we're very lucky to have Jane Veron as the mayor. She served 2 terms previously as a trustee before becoming mayor, and very happy to have her as a working partner with Westchester County. So without any other further ado, the mayor of the village of Scarsdale, Jane Veron. Jane, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Good afternoon, and thank you, George. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, county colleagues, for the invitation to speak today. We greatly appreciate the support we receive from the county and strongly value our partnership. As George said, I'm Jane Veron, Mayor of Scarsdale, and I'm delighted to share an update on our village today. Town, more for purposes of collecting taxes, village for virtually everything else we do. So Scarsdale is a village of 18,000 residents who live within 6 square miles of tree-lined streets, expansive parks and fields, and a charming Tudor-style village center. We're known for our excellent schools, extensive recreation programming, strong municipal services, and our close proximity to New York City, only a 30-minute train ride to Grand Central. Scarsdale fosters a spirit of collaboration and service with active volunteers, just as George mentioned, where we have so many residents participating on boards and councils, and they're committed to making Scarsdale a wonderful place to live. Our village government has gone through a transformation over the past couple of years with a keen focus on modeling 21st century governance best practices. Within the past year, we've welcomed a new village manager, a deputy village manager, a new fire chief, and a new water superintendent. These dynamic men and women complement an already outstanding village staff, and they're led by department heads who work tirelessly to deliver for our village. We are proud recipients of CALIA's certification for police department excellence and GFOA honors for our treasurer's work. To monitor major issues, we introduced a strategic and financial planning framework organized around 4 pillars of government: quality of life, infrastructure, municipal services and sustainability, public safety, and economic development and land use. Within each pillar, we identify initiatives to make Scarsdale a better place. For quality of life, we recently passed code regarding gas-powered leaf blowers and are in the midst of revising our noise codes to make it more comprehensive. Recreation is very important to our residents, and we budgeted to add 8 pickleball courts to our rackets program and are discussing enhancements to our fields. We've also invested in full-time staff at our Weinberg Nature Center. We have a keen focus on our infrastructure with plans to upgrade our water and sewer systems, to fund our roads and sidewalks, and to reimagine our beloved community assets. We just completed a library renovation and expansion project that has transformed the building with a new children's room, teen room, and adult reading rooms. The space has expansive natural light, comfortable seating, and up-to-date technology. There are multiple rooms to gather. We have a computer lab, a makerspace, and a cafe. Sustainability is also front and center in Scarsdale, with widespread installation of LED lights, Arbor Day plantings, and the launch of our very own food scrap program. Our local volunteers built the program that has been rolled out throughout the county. We're also working on amendments to our stormwater code to address important community concerns regarding flooding. In public safety, we are focusing on increasing collaboration and communication with our emergency services departments and other key community organizations such as our schools and houses of worship. Our police, fire, and Scarsdale Volunteer Ambulance Corps work on high alert throughout the entire pandemic, and SVAC received recognition from the county for their COVID responsiveness. Scarsdale is also hyper-focused on economic development and land use. To help our local businesses during COVID's early days, we created a downtown revitalization task force of staff, elected officials, property owners, merchants, and community leaders to problem solve together. To increase foot traffic while keeping customers safe, we tested a Dine the Dale tent, converting parking spaces to a covered plaza for residents to congregate over food and conversation. It was such a hit that residents begged for it to remain up year-round. We also relaxed restrictions for outdoor dining on sidewalks, and our village is now buzzing with energy. Over the next few months, we will be welcoming even more eating establishments, including One Rare Steakhouse, Dobbs and Bishop Cheese Shop, Seymour Beer Garden, and Bubble Tea. The vitality is palpable in the heart of our village center. And as George said, we are very lucky beneficiaries of volunteer advisory councils, and they make important contributions to our village. Our advisory council on communication led us through the creation of a new village logo that combines our rich history with modern aesthetics, and a website redesign to enhance user-friendliness and accessibility of important information. Our Technology Advisory Council has introduced solutions that will streamline processes and advance digitization. Scarsdale just keeps getting better as we continue to invest in our future. We launched a study to reimagine our pool complex, which is over 50 years old and is in need of serious repair. We had outstanding response to our survey, and the community's input will inform potential concepts for a newly reimagined pool. We hired consultants to help with design and economics, and will continue the community conversation this fall. We are also in the midst of another crucial project for the future of our village, a strategic mobility and placemaking study. Our goal is to enhance the flow of traffic in the village center with a focus on pedestrian and cyclist safety, sustainability, and improved placemaking. Placemaking has been especially important throughout the pandemic when we search for new ways to activate public spaces. The study scope also includes exploration of complete streets and traffic calming initiatives that we would roll out throughout the village. Public outreach has been an important component of the project, and we continue to get feedback from our residents, merchants, neighborhood associations, and commuters. Ultimately, we want to create lasting memories in Scarsdale. We continually strive to build community and have hosted a multitude of offerings to bring people together. We have annual events, including Halloween window painting, the Scarsdale Music Festival, the Scarsdale Concourse Car Show, and the annual Holiday Lighting Extravaganza. We host community runs, parades, and parties in the park. There is nothing better than spending time in our hometown, and we welcome all of you, our friends, throughout the county to visit us. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share a bit about Scarsdale.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor Jane Verrin of the Village of Scarsdale. And I do encourage you, as I do every week, to visit the various communities that we spotlight. There's some terrific restaurants in Scarsdale. Even though I'm on a diet, I still can tell you where they are, and the weather's still nice. They have a couple that have some nice outdoor settings. They've missed it now, but in August or July, when they have the traditional band concerts on Thursday nights at Chase Park, not to give you a product placement, but Chad is right there. There's an outdoor garden. You can hear the music. It couldn't be more lovely. And put that on your calendar for next summer. And in fact, you can probably spend every night of the summer in a different Westchester community, different concert, different place to eat. And if you're not on a diet, you can do that. But Scarsdale is really a lovely place. Again, Jane, thank you for coming and sharing this with us. And we wish you the very best of luck. We hope to continue to be good partners with you here at the county. We'll move on to a couple of other issues. Ken Jenkins will join me here as we go through a few items. We'll give you a quick update on our public health issues. These reports originally began as a daily report during the COVID, the outbreak of the COVID crisis, and of course we reported rigorously on those numbers. We've reached a point on COVID where we have a fairly static set of circumstances, running somewhat under 2,000 cases, under 10% hospitalized, and under 1% fatalities. And it's been, pretty much like that now for 2 to 3 months. We know we're in the summertime, and because we're outdoors more, we are still meteorologically in the summertime here in this part of September, but not for long, a couple days more. But while the weather is warm and people can be outdoors more, we have less of a likelihood of the transfer of the disease. That might increase in the fall. But at this stage of the game, I think we're all trying to get to normalcy. And normalcy is using prudent measures to protect ourselves against the virus, but at the same time trying to continue to function with the many varied things that we want to do in our public life, in our personal lives and social lives. Right now, as I've said, COVID is at a level at which we're reasonably confident if people get vaccinated. I think at the point we're up to 4 vaccinations now, 4 shots. A couple of boosters. I just tend to count the number of shots. And I do think that most of us, certainly those of us, in my case, of a certain age, will probably expect to have an annual vaccination against COVID in the same way that we might have an annual flu shot to try to give us the maximum amount of protection. But what we've seen is a reduction in the amount of hospitalizations and a reduction in the fatality rates when people are vaccinated. This is a highly vaccinated county compared to others, and I think we're bearing the benefit of that by having very many less severe cases. There are still fatalities. We've lost over 2,800 friends and neighbors in this county since the beginning of the pandemic. But when you look at where the loss occurred, we've lost a little over 400 some odd this year. We lost 2,400 in the first 2 years, and most of that was in the first year of the pandemic before there were vaccinations. So we continue to make vaccinations available. You can contact our county health department for the opportunities. The bivalent booster, which is the new one that is the stronger booster, is available at the Westchester County Health Department clinic located here in downtown White Plains at 134 Court Street. We make vaccines available on Fridays at the White Plains location. And of course, this vaccination is available now through your medical professionals, through local hospitals. There's a host of different places, pharmacies and so forth. So it doesn't have to come through the public vaccination source as it did at the beginning of the pandemic. But we encourage you to stay vaccinated for COVID. Monkeypox has continued to be less of an across-the-board concern for us as more of the potential population that would be infected have been vaccinated. We have administered in Westchester County almost 3,000 monkeypox vaccinations at our various clinics, and we appreciate the cooperation of the LOFT, LGBTQ organization, for being heavily involved in setting up some of those clinics. And with that many folks vaccinated, we're seeing a negligible amount of new cases, and we've had no fatalities and no serious illnesses to monkeypox here in Westchester County. We don't assume that automatically we're always good for the future. We think, once again, diligence is important. COVID is an airborne transmitted disease, so it's a little easier to contract. Monkeypox is a skin-to-skin contact disease, so it's less communicable, but it is still communicable, and I think it's important for people who know the world that they live in to be mindful if they believe that they might be exposed to monkeypox. Once again, call the county health department. We have vaccination opportunities as it's going on now, and we think that with very few new cases, that means the message is getting out there to please be vaccinated. The good news with monkeypox is if you are vaccinated, it actually cures you of the disease. And that's not necessarily the case in all vaccinations, but in this particular case, it cures the disease, kicks the disease out of your system, which is all good news. I'm told it can be a painful disease if you contract it, but as I said, we've had no fatalities, so that we think is positive. And on the third item, polio, we had one case of polio now about 3 months ago in Rockland County, and it set off a major discussion because polio is a disease which, for all intents and purposes, we feel like we've eradicated here in the United States. The vaccination process is a one shot for your life. I had mine as a little kid. I didn't even know I was getting it. All I knew is my mother took me to the doctors, and I got a shot. I didn't like it, but now, at age 68, going on 69, I like it. I'm happy that I'm vaccinated against polio. And I think it's important to recognize that should be a standard part. There are some individuals who have not been vaccinated to polio. They're the ones that are most likely subject to the disease. And I'm told statistically, I hope it's an accurate figure, 1 out of every 200 people that contract the disease could suffer lifelong paralysis from polio. So it's a serious disease. It is not to be treated trivially. We are in the process of seeing the results back from our testing. I mentioned a week ago we had a 2-week test of our wastewater treatment system where they take samples and do laboratory analysis of it, and they'll come back and tell us if there's any trace of polio. There have been traces of polio found in the wastewater systems in Rockland, Orange counties, and also in parts of New York City, but it is not universal. And we'll see what they tell us from Westchester County if there are traces significant enough. But the answer, once again, is to be vaccinated against polio. And we encourage you to talk to your medical professional. Make sure that young children are vaccinated properly. I think that may be a requirement before going to school. But do what you have to do that's prudent. I understand there is philosophy out there some folks have about vaccinations. I'm not here to debate it. I can only tell you what medical professionals tell us, which is that if you're vaccinated against some of these diseases, you are less likely to get them. And if you do get them, you're less likely to get them severely. And our interest is in keeping people safe and healthy. We want a healthy, safe county. We want people to be able to perform their lives every day, not worry about government if we're doing our job, and enjoy their work, their family, and their avocations. And that good health is valuable to them, and it's valuable to us. So hopefully we'll continue to have a similar report. If anything changes, if we see a spike in any of these diseases, we will transparently come before you in one of these updates or special midweek press conference, and we'll tell you. Right now, all 3 of them are very different status, but in all 3 of them, we believe we have a strategy that is working so far, and we encourage you to do your portion of it. Now, we have an important recognition coming up very shortly, Gold Mothers recognition. Ken Jenkins will explain what that is, what the county's program is to honor those women who were part of a family where the ultimate sacrifice was made. Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins.
Thanks, George. And on Friday, September 23rd, Westchester County will be recognizing our Gold Star mothers in a special ceremony that we have at Kensico Dam. It is right in front of the Rising, our 9/11 memorial there for them and for our 9/11 folks that were lost from related illnesses of 9/11, the memorial for that as well. We also have a tree walk there at Kensico Dam for those service members that have been lost from the Gold Star Mothers families. No one wants to be in the Gold Star Mothers family. As the county executive pointed out, it is you become a Gold Star mother when you have a loved one lost in the military serving our country. And again, we really want to make sure to recognize our Gold Star mothers and continue to support them and their families as they continue to grieve for their lost loved one during this time. The Gold Star Mothers date is exactly on Sunday, the 4th Sunday in September. We recognize it here on the 23rd at 2 p.m. and we hope that everyone will either take advantage of coming in person or taking online on Facebook Live on the 23rd starting at 2 p.m. Yonkers has a Gold Star Memorial, which is right at the train station, at the Yonkers train station, at the foot of the Yonkers train station. A wonderful memorial. That is on Sunday, the 25th, and that'll be at 10 o'clock in the morning. So 10 o'clock in the morning for the Gold Star Mothers Memorial in Yonkers. There is a Gold Star Mothers Memorial Bridge in Tuckahoe. We are still trying to understand whether they're going to have a specific service in Tuckahoe for that, but you should take a look at the Tuckahoe Village site to see what activities they have surrounding that. But again, our Gold Star Mothers, our Veteran Service Agency, Ron Tochi, Executive Director, making sure that we are recognizing and supporting our military families, and this is another way of continuing to do that for Gold Star Mothers, starting Friday the 23rd at 2 p.m.
Thank you very much, Ken. And I just want to highlight that I think it's important, as we talk about substantive things in government, what we're going to talk about in the next few seconds is very substantive. It is also important for us to understand the symbolism. We show that on 9/11, where we had a ceremony that recognized the sacrifice of those people that died that day and then the first responders that have subsequently died. And Gold Mothers honoring falls into the same category. These are women who have suffered a terrible loss as part of a societal moment. And the grief doesn't end with the moment of sacrifice. And we think it's important for us as a county government, and the local governments feel the same way. There's always ceremonies that honor those that have served in many different ways. We think these are important recognitions and a way to show that, as much as we are individuals and we all have our own lives, there is a family element of our time together as a society, and it is to recognize some of these kinds of things. So thank you, Ken, for sharing that. Next, back to the more substantive world of government. We're launching a new program, a next round of funding for Business First grant programs. And to explain that program, which has had other iterations over the last few years, I'm going to ask Bridget Gibbons, our Director of Economic Development, to join us. And if she's going to be joined by anybody else, she'll announce them. We're going to have Martha Lopez join you as well. Martha Lopez, our Director of Program and Policy, is also with us. Ladies, the podium is yours.
Great. Thank you, County Executive. Whoops, not quite enough. Don't want to fall. There we go. Thank you, County Executive. The Westchester County Office of Economic Development is pleased to announce a $5 million round of Business First grant funding to support minority women-owned businesses, service disabled veteran-owned businesses, and disadvantaged business enterprises who have been negatively impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Applications will be accepted online starting today. This program is a continuation of the county executive's focus on assisting businesses across the county who were hit so hard by COVID-19. In 2021, we awarded $14 million to small businesses, including nonprofits and chambers of commerce. Earlier in 2022, we awarded over $7.5 million to our nonprofits and our religious organizations who went above and beyond to support our community by providing such services as food pantries, COVID-19 testing locations who were so critically important and needed. The financial impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the local business community is still pervasive. We're committed to helping our small business community, including MWBEs, SDVOBs, and DBEs rebound, and we're thankful to have the funding available to invest in their next chapters. We're grateful to the support of Charlene Nixon, who is here today. She will be providing assistance to anyone who's having trouble completing the grant application, and she'll be saying a few words in a moment. Thank you very much, Charlene, for your help. Now I'm going to turn it over to Martha Lopez, who's our Director for MWBE Business Development, who will be providing the details on this program.
Thank you so much, and $5 million. Thank you, County Executive. Thank you, Director of Economic Development, for this grant opportunity to be able to apply for grants ranging from $5,000 to $45,000. And Charlene Nixon, the CEO and President of the Multicultural Organization Chamber of Commerce, is going to be joining me here to say something. We are looking forward so much to working with you, and I'm so excited. So please come to the podium.
Hi, thank you. Our county executive and his team continues to work relentless to build bridges and access to capital for the diverse business population here in Westchester County. And the WMCC, or the Westchester Multicultural Chamber, is honored to have been selected to be the conduit for this grant. So please feel free to reach out to us, Business First at WMCCNYS.org, so we can guide you through this process. Thank you.
Thank you. So I am sure that you may have many questions, and I want to go over the eligibility process because it is very important that first, the most important to apply, you must go to westchestercatalyst.com and then click on Business First, which is in the upper right-hand side. Please do that immediately. And here are the categories. You must be a minority and women-owned business enterprise known as the MWBE, a certified service disabled veteran-owned business known as SDVOB, or a disadvantaged business enterprise known as DBE. Your primary business location must be within Westchester County. Your business must be currently open and plan to stay open or closed temporarily and plan to reopen by the end of the year. You must be up to date with your county tax obligations, fees, or licenses. MWBs are eligible for these programs if they are registered with Westchester County MWBE program. If you are unsure if you are, please log on to westchestercatalyst.com/MWBE. You will find out if you are or you are not. Okay? Please note that this registration requires all applicants to upload their affidavit and acknowledgement form and send them to us notarized. This is something that many times you forget to do, and we don't want to hold any applications back. For those businesses that are New York State certified, please make sure that you send us a copy of your certification. SDVOBs are eligible if they are certified by New York State as a service-disabled veteran-owned business. DBEs are eligible if they are certified by a certifying partner in the New York State Unified Certification Program. Now, for what purposes can I use the funds? Well, here are some of the examples: rent, mortgage payments, payroll, employee benefits, marketing, vendor payments, supplies, equipment, safety equipment, software. These are just some among other expenditures. For additional questions, you can contact our partner, as Charlene said, contact her at Business First at WMCCNYS.org, or me, M. Lopez at westchestergov.com. I suggest that you do not wait, as the application process will be open only for about 5 to 6 weeks. For all of those applying, we wish you the very best. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Charlene, Martha, and Bridget, for your hard work in this area. We think it's important to understand that when we receive money from the federal government for COVID-related uses, and we try to figure out how do we use it to help different types of organizations, having gotten through this now 2.5-year period of time. We've used that money initially for business grants before it was clear that the federal government was able to make those available. We've used it for not-for-profit organizations, and we've also used it to help local chambers of commerce stay afloat. And none of those were intended to be long-term fundings, but something to get them through a difficult moment, and that's exactly what this is. And it's meant to incentivize and hopefully help these businesses get through the initial startup phases and successfully so, and then they can continue to be ongoing benefits. And I think that is the intent of the use of ARPA funds. We've also used it for feeding programs, and then we'll be announcing probably the next few weeks that those individuals who worked for government and had to put themselves before the population during the peak period of infection deserve some additional hazard pay, and we will make an announcement about how we're going to do that. And all of that is good, intelligent use of the money we receive from the federal government, even as we have on our own basis stabilized the finances of Westchester County. Just a couple more items to mention before we close off our report. Bicycle Sundays have been reinstituted now at the month of September. We've been out there the last 2 Sundays on the Bronx River Parkway. We have 2 more Sundays left. This coming Sunday, September 25th, and the following Sunday, October 2nd, Bicycle Sunday is underway. Mayor Varon is very happy about this because the Bronx River Parkway goes right next door to downtown Scarsdale. And while she's not at the podium right now, what she would say if she were here is, come to downtown Scarsdale, park your bike, take your bicycle ride with your family, and then stop at one of the fine restaurants in Scarsdale and have a lovely Sunday brunch. Wouldn't you say that, Madam Mayor? If you okay. And of course, it is a terrific route that people enjoy taking. This has been going on for many, many years, and I credit all those individuals who preceded me in this position, those who started it during the years of Andy O'Rourke and I guess Aldo Bello perhaps, but Andy O'Rourke, Andy Spano, Rob Astorino, and now ourselves, and that this will be a tradition that continues. If you don't know anything about this at all, don't know what you've been paying attention to, but on Sundays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the Bronx River Parkway is closed. Exit 22, which is the county center, did not go up to Exit 22 for a while because of the concerns about what was happening with COVID treatment. But now that that is behind us, Exit 22, Westchester County Center, plenty of places to park there. And you go all the way down to Exit 4 in Yonkers. It's Scarsdale Road is the street, but it's in Yonkers, and it's the street that takes you into downtown Tuckahoe. So it's a nice 13-mile run up and down, stopping off in Scarsdale. And we hope you'll be able to enjoy it. We want to specifically thank the Westchester County Parks Foundation and, of course, our Parks Recreation Conservation Department, but the Westchester Parks Foundation and other partners, New York Presbyterian, Lawrence Hospital, Con Edison, BJ Wholesale Club, and support from WHUD Radio have all been participant sponsors in making sure the Bicycle Sundays are a success. We had tremendous numbers of people in 2020. Because of COVID, there weren't other options for exercise, and our parks provided that. Local parks did, and county parks did. And Bicycle Sunday became a very important situation. I recall when we first started to do this, there were some people out there that were concerned that we were going to advance the spread by doing this, and of course that didn't happen. We were wise and took prudent efforts, and of course it has become once again one of those traditions that we're happy is back in business. So 2 more weekends for Bicycle Sunday. Please put it on your calendar. Let me also mention, we just had a press conference here, which you might see in some other venues. Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado joined us, along with some of the commissioners from state departments, to announce 3 more Westchester communities out of now 100 climate-smart communities designated by the state of New York. We want to congratulate the town of North Salem, the village of Bronxville, and the village of Pelham, all of which have joined the Climate Smart Communities designation. There's an application process. You have to put together a plan and show how you're implementing a plan that would reduce the carbon footprint of your community. And we're very fortunate that these 3, added to 8 original organizations that have complied, give us 11 out of our 45 municipalities that are climate smart. That's the highest absolute number in New York State amongst any counties, and it's the highest percentage of counties. So Scarsdale, Hastings-on-Hudson, Newcastle, Mamaroneck Town, others have been designated that way, and others are working toward that designation. But we were very happy to be able to announce that, and we want to particularly congratulate those individuals whose communities have just met that standard, and Mayor Chance Mullen of Pelham Village, Mayor Mary Marvin of Bronxville, and Town Supervisor Warren Lucas of North Salem. Tip a hat to them. They've helped their communities also qualify in this program, so that's all very good. And then just let me touch on before we go, we have negotiated and come to closure on new contracts for our Westchester County Police Benevolent Association, both the members and the superior officers. We have concluded negotiations. Those contracts have been ratified by the respective police organizations, and they go before the Board of Legislators for their approval. We expect that to happen in a short period of time. We have 9 bargaining units that Westchester County negotiates with, and we have recently closed negotiations and adopted contracts for our Teamsters, which represent certain management employees in the county. We've also closed our union negotiations for our nurses, NISNA nurses. We have nurses in both our Department of Health and then smattered through a couple of other county departments, and now our police PBA. This will bring them up to date and take them a few years to the future. We have negotiations at hand with our correction officers, superior correction officers, and then the largest of our unions, CSEA, Civil Service Employee Association. And then we also have a group of DA investigators that work through the DA's office, and we hope to close all of those contracts. The important part about that is not only what happens to those individuals, but it gives us predictability of our labor costs. And if you've done any kind of a budget, private sector, public sector, the single biggest cost in that budget is labor. And if you know what your labor costs are going to be, and you have to predict some overtime issues, but if you can predict the baseline cost, then you can look at the revenue stream and make intelligent decisions about how you use your money. And particularly since most people ask me the one question when the budget comes out, what happens to my taxes? We're in a better position to be able to continue what we have done the last 3 years, which is cut county property taxes. We have cut county property taxes in the 2020, 2021, and 2022 budgets. We hope to do that for 23. It's a bit premature. We will announce where we are when we deliver the budget to the Board of Legislators in November. In October, we'll reveal a county capital budget, which will show some of the different major projects that we'll be working on. It's projects like that that are in the budget that involve when we repave Mamaroneck Avenue from the village of Mamaroneck to White Plains, or other different specific programs. That will come out in October, and then the operating budget in November. We'll have more to talk about as we get closer. There'll be some public forums for you to comment before we submit the budget, and then after we submit the budget, the Board of Legislators will have public dialogue about the budget before we close it. We always have, in the county level of government, always have on-time budgets, and we work on a calendar year, fiscal year, which is true for towns and 4 of our 6 cities. Villages are on a different cycle, as are school districts and then some of the specialty districts. But we intend to complete the budget process. You'll hear more about it in the days to come, and hopefully positively. What I want to highlight in terms of closing our contracts with our police officers and the superior officers is the nature of our relationship as a government with our law enforcement community. There's rhetoric out there about, do you back the police or do you defund the police? These kind of rhetorical extremes that really don't represent the way we pragmatically operate. We know that our law enforcement professionals provide us with an important service. They keep us safe. We also know that there are certain issues, as any management labor situation, that have to be negotiated, and both sides have to give a little, and both sides have to accept things that represent a good final deal that may not be the ideal world that they would want for. We've gone through that process amicably with our law enforcement professionals. And I should point out, as we fully fund the police in Westchester County, don't let any of the rhetoric get in the fog of what you might believe. In addition to fully funding the police, that police effort is also undergoing a reevaluation and a reform. And the reforms that we've adopted so far have been done with the complete compliance of those in law enforcement. So this is not a contentious, head-butting situation. We have implemented a mental health crisis response team program where we have mental health professionals available to respond with police when an incident requires mental health professional at the point of the incident. That reform, major reform, was done cooperatively. We were able to implement a new police app. Now, I am a man of the 20th century, not the 21st century. Everything is on your phone, and you use an app to do what otherwise you might do back in the ancient days of picking up the phone, calling somebody. But that application is a modern way to connect people with the police, and that is an improvement over what we had previously. And we've also amplified our community policing efforts and so forth. So all of these things are a combination of both reform and also supporting that law enforcement that helps keep us safe. And I think the proof of the pudding is in the reduction of crime in Westchester County. Crime has not disappeared. It will never disappear. But over the last 5 years now, it is down. We're going to wait to see some numbers, hopefully from the second quarter. We'll make those comparisons, share that with you. I believe it will show that crime continues in 2022 to be down over where we were in 2018, 2017, comparable period of time. And that is good news. There are things happening outside of Westchester County, by all means. I watch the same TV you do. I hear about what's happening in Chicago, what goes on in San Francisco, what happens in New York City, those urban environments. We have urban environments in White Plains and New Rochelle, Yonkers, and Mount Vernon, and there are crimes that occur, property crimes and to some smaller degree, violent crimes. But it is an absolute truth that violent crimes and property crimes have decreased in Westchester over the last 5 years. It is true that we have fully funded the police, and it is also true that we're working for reforms for the police. And all of those things are not mutually exclusive. So with that bit of news to go along with the other news, we appreciate you watching. I don't know if we have any press contacts. Lisa Reyes tells us no. So if there are any members of the press that are watching the feed, by all means, reach out to us. We'll be happy to respond accordingly. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. Thanks for watching. We wish you a good and safe week, and we'll be back a week from today with some additional information. Have a good day.